Welcome back to Northern Perspective, everybody, and we are live from the nation's capital in the National Capital Region of Ottawa, Ontario, where this is where everything stinks the most. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Tanya.
And this is Northern Perspective. So there we go. Anyway, folks, it's been a very, very busy couple of days. We arrived here on Friday night, as many of you saw. Our super secret interview dropped that we recorded on Friday on the way. Sorry to disappoint folks that may think that that was our new studio. We made no such announcement about that.
It is really nice, though.
It is really nice. It was a podcast studio that we secured in Toronto at a undisclosed location because of security reasons for the ambassador of Israel. And we were able to record that on the way, which was fantastic. And
Vincent and I went to the park, which was nice.
Yep.
there was a park nearby.
And yesterday we were able to, it was one of the primary reasons of coming on this trip. We did 2 events for some of the electoral district associations in the related Ottawa region in Cheryl Gallant's riding. So that was fantastic. And we were in Braeside and Pembroke yesterday for 2 separate events, which was phenomenal. Thank you to everybody who came out. In total, there's probably around 200, 250 people that came out, which was great.
Yeah, it was fantastic. The afternoon event was a little bit smaller, a little bit of a smaller venue, a little bit of a smaller population area, but it was phenomenal. We absolutely loved that everybody came out to see us. And then there was probably, what would you say, about 150 to 200 people at the evening event. So thank you for spending your Saturday night with us.
So showed it to Cam, I think, and June, and Wade, and all of the folks on the EDA. And it was great to meet everybody that came to those events. And many of them, it was their first time coming out to an event like that. So that's the power of NP Nation, getting out, getting involved, and showing support, and realizing there's a whole community of conservatives at your fingertips. So,
I also want to say thank you to Sally and to Debbie, who watched Vincent for us while we were up on stage speaking. And of course, a special thank you to Cheryl Gallant, who was there as well, and who was gracious enough to let us kind of crash the event.
So, one says, wish you guys focused on new things. No one cares about that goof or Pierre. Well,
so
welcome.
We did an interview yesterday, which was new, and it got a lot of blowback.
Well, we did. So, and
so I mean, you can't keep everybody happy.
Well, and it's interesting what people regard as new things. Can you guys move over to Ryan's right? The chat is covering up Tanya's face.
Maybe on mobile?
Maybe on mobile, I guess.
We're kind of limited here because we're in the hotel room. We're trying to be a little bit quiet because we thought Vincent was sleeping, but I just heard him again, so he's quite clearly not. So for sure, we don't have a lot of room to move around with here.
If it is an issue, you know, we'll see what we can do a little later. But anyhow, it was a great weekend, and we're going to continue talking about Pierre Poilievre for the next 3 years because he's the leader of the Conservative Party. So, and he's the gentleman that is going to be helping us get out of this mess in Canada. So, if you're not interested in that, have a good night. For everybody else, it's great to have you with us. So, anyway. Someone says good visual, no one is cut off, not a problem.
Okay, that's good.
Perfect. Anyway, excellent. So before we get into anything else, we just have to remind everybody of house rules.
It's the same 3 rules as always. Number 1, please respect each other and the show. Number 2, no selling, soliciting, or spamming in the chat. And number 3, please do not use profanity. For moderators this evening, we have Baby Shark, we have Cujo, we have Randy, we have Jester, and I also saw that Barnaby is going to be on in a little bit. So hang on to your questions for QP for now. And when you see Barnaby in the chat, then you can start sending them.
We also have 2,000 people in chat. We have 650 likes, so please don't forget, as you come in, make your way into the stream, hit that like button. It tells YouTube to push this stream out to other folks that may not have their notifications turned on and may have forgotten about our Sunday live stream. So thank you for doing that. It is muchly appreciated. We do have a bit of a busy week coming up. We have, which is crazy, we have 4, possibly 5 interviews scheduled to record over the next 3 days, which is going to be very busy. But lots of conversations to have on Parliament Hill. And 2 of them are not politicians at the moment, so that will be interesting if we can get those interviews on footage. And we do plan on attending the Alto protest on Parliament Hill that is scheduled to happen on Wednesday at noon to 3 p.m., I believe is what we were told. So if you're going to be coming there, we look forward to seeing you on Parliament Hill. And even if you're not in the corridor for Alto, this is still important because we need to be standing with fellow Canadians that are impacted by the government. It's the same reason why we stand with the CCFR against the gun buyback, even though we're not gun owners. You know, we need to be standing with our fellow Canadians who are impacted by these violations of their rights if we expect them to stand with us when we are in the same boat in the future. So this is where solidarity is not just a slogan, it's not just a word, it's an action.
Well, and if the government is successful, for example, with the gun buyback, and then they're successful with Alto, and they're not getting pushback, and Canadians are not in an uproar, what are they going to try next, right? I think we need to put our foot down and do it lawfully and respectfully, and show the government that you can't take our stuff. You can't take our guns, you can't take our property.
100%. So, somebody said Randy in chat.
Randy! Have you been hanging out with Randy?
Just saying. Anyhow, and I don't think I have some of the new memes with me right now, but I do have all the old ones, so apologies for that. Anyhow, let's get some of the pre-chat activity and we will get into tonight's discussion. So we are starting with Heartsinger. Great to see him. I'm for 28 months. Yes, I changed my channel back to Heartsinger. Still me appreciating you. I'll find my feet on here eventually. Been busy writing. Well, thank you very much for that. And Colleen Morris, welcome back to NP Supporter. Great to have you back. Jessica Van Luke for $7. Thank you. Maya's other eye-opening, her smiling for the first time to doing a thumb game with her dad is the most beautiful thing ever. She's coming back.
That's amazing.
Those are some really, really positive signs. Thank you very much for sharing that, Jessica.
Especially if you're like playing a game to try to like win. That I think, I mean, I'm no neurosurgeon or anything, but I think that involves like advanced thinking skills and advanced brain function. So that's really awesome.
Yeah, because the main concern with Maya is nobody's sure how much damage has actually been done, and any victory that they are getting, I am sure Maya's family will take it in spades at this point.
But you know, sometimes they'll have a patient that something bad has happened, or even I recall reading a case study of someone who like completely half their brain didn't grow and had no idea. So I mean, what the textbook says isn't always what's reflected in real life. Sometimes amazing people can do amazing things.
I remember, and I think this is true, I read it on the internet, so it must be true. And it was a couple of years ago where there was this case. It wasn't, I don't believe it was in North America. It was somewhere out in Asia, I believe. And this man came in just complaining of severe headaches, and they did a CAT scan, and he only had like a quarter of the size of a normal brain.
Yeah.
Like most of his brain was missing, and he was just like
normal guy.
guy. And they're like, you shouldn't be alive. Never mind operating as a normal, independent human being. So to that point, you know, there's some things that science just cannot explain. I would say is for $2. You're in Ottawa. Don't get any on ya. Well, it's interesting because the amount of destitute people in Ottawa, it grows every single time that we come back.
It's very sad, and it's like this crazy juxtaposition because Parliament Hill is like right there, and then you just go a little bit down the street, like not even a kilometer, I don't think, to where the Byward Market is, and it's not a good place to be.
Well, there's this walkway right next to the Canadian Senate, and there's this bridge, and there's this underpass under the bridge, and there is a huge encampment right there next to the Canadian Senate. So, and that wasn't there a few years ago.
Well, and the crazy thing is, like, we don't know specifically where the MPs have their apartments, but we know like the general direction. And a lot of them, including the Liberals, have to walk by homelessness, drug use, these sorts of things every day on the way to get back to their apartment. And that's just insane, especially for the Liberal ones. If they're not like, oh, maybe we should do something about this.
Maybe we're not doing a great job.
Yeah.
So, Miriam Rachel for $7 was one of the 60,000 at the UJA Walkathon. Hung out with Melissa, Anna Roberts a bit, with Roman Baber, awesome experience. Amazing people, all three of them.
Excellent. And I think YouTube skipped this one from Jim Ross. Thank you for the $20 super chat. It says, apparently recession and job losses are technical issues and not real for those affected. Mark Carney technically eats airplane food like every other Canadian flyer does. His meals cost thousands, while ours cost tens of dollars.
Well, it
Yeah.
technically still costs money, so it's the same, right? That's probably what he wants you to think.
Insane.
Mumblin' May, for 27 months I ran in Tanya and got to see Pierre speak today in Calgary. It was amazing.
Oh, very
Excellent.
cool. Very
Excellent.
cool.
Yeah, I know he was back in his riding, I believe. And in Calgary. Justine Nicole, for 29 months. Good evening. Hit the like, folks. Absolutely. And we're
Yes,
still
please
about
do.
1,400 behind. Thank you. And Hartsinger with a $20 super chat. Thank you very much. Here's hoping you find some rest when you get home. Fortunately, I will miss you at the Stampede. Will be with my grandkids on Vancouver Island. Thank you for the interview yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we are very much looking forward to going to Calgary. My mom and dad are coming with us too. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I kind of warned them ahead of time, like, listen, we're going to have to do interviews and party stuff. And they're not, like, they're conservative supporters, but they're not into it the way we are, you know what I mean? But I think that they are going to have a really fun time meeting everybody.
Well, and the interesting thing about that interview is we got a lot of people saying, well, criticizing us for doing the interview, and then also saying, I'm going to unsubscribe. Yet we don't believe that they were subscribed in the first place because there wasn't really anyone who unsubscribed. So
Well,
it was fascinating to watch.
Last time I had checked, there was, I think, 16 people who had unsubscribed. But while people were making these threats, I was keeping an eye on it, and we get updated in real time. And there was nobody unsubscribing at that time, which was very interesting.
Well, and people are saying, why are we talking about this? Well, because one of the big problems in Canada is anti-Semitism. And in order to understand where that's coming from, we need to understand where it's coming from. And we're going to be having people on the channel that you don't agree with. But that's the point of Northern Perspective. It's not just to be an echo chamber, and it's not just to give people points of view that validate what they have. We want to try and get other thoughts and other points of view because, amidst all the things that you might disagree with, someone may make a valid point. And it's important that we don't insulate ourselves like that, because that's how the Liberals started this mess in the first place.
Yeah.
Is they censored everybody that they disagreed with and shouted them down. And that's not what being conservative is about.
Well, and to us, we do the interviews, we do the research, and you're not going to agree with us all the time. There's times where we research something and we're like, I don't agree with that, but quite clearly it's the truth.
Well, it's actually great because some people have come up to us and said, I don't agree with everything that you say. And we say, that's good. It's actually really good, because if you do agree with absolutely everything we say, then you should challenge us more, because disagreement is where knowledge begins.
Right, and that's another thing, is that when you are presented with an opposing opinion to your own, you either double down on your own opinion, or like, that's completely wrong, my opinion is right, here's why my opinion is right, I know my opinion's right, and you kind of like double down on your own beliefs, or you start to explore a different idea. So
Milo Nexus for $2. There are people sending in tips trying to provoke. LOL. There you go. And Philip Edmondson, member for 29 months. Your interview with the Israeli ambassador was a banger. Great, showing the reality of their ongoing reality. Thank you. Thank you. And I thought the questions were, I'm the one who asked them, but I thought they were decent. I didn't think I was overly partisan one way or the other.
well, I didn't think you were asking like leading questions or anything. And I think that's kind of how we conduct Northern Perspective. We're like, okay, here's the information. It's up to the audience to decide.
Lazarus for $5. Here, take some of my grocery prepaid money, $170. Woohoo! Now can afford to eat for a week, maybe.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
It costs the average Canadian family of four. It's around $17,000 a year for groceries, and I don't remember if that was just under 17,000 or just over, but it's a lot of money.
There used to be days when the government didn't have to just hand out money to Canadians in order to actually afford to live. This feels like a long time ago when that happened, and now the Liberals would like a pat on the back of how good they're managing affordability.
Well, and maybe they should just not take the money from us in the first place.
Maybe. Glenn Stewart for $2. Hope to see you guys sometime. I hope so too.
We were actually, Glenn, talking about you yesterday at one of the events.
Glenn,
because
yeah.
Brian was saying that you're an absolute legend writing all the MPs.
By hand, yes.
Yes.
Glenn, we talk about you a lot when it comes to civic advocacy. So, Glenn Stewart, absolute legend in NP Nation. So, whereabouts are you from, Glenn? Because who knows, we might be heading out that way.
Yeah, you don't have to like send a super chat to tell us. You could just let the moderators know and they'll pass it up to us.
And Fit by Gordo, thank you very, very much for a $20 super chat. Keep up the great work. Seems like Carney has a problem and not Pierre, and we do care. Thank you. There we go. Thank you. And Robert says for $5, if we are really lucky, the Alto train will be just as successful as the high-speed train in California. I mean, the money isn't going to launder itself.
I mean, they could try.
Yeah. And Iosaken? Eosaken for $10. Evening MP, I was a little late since I watched some of the craziness of what's happening with the LA mayoral election. Apparently there's investigations now. Oh, that's interesting.
Was that for the lady that was connected with China, or is this a different thing?
That's different.
This is different, okay.
Jessica Man Luke for $7. Kittens are 5 weeks old and running around like crazy.
Oh my gosh, I saw them on our Northern Perspective group. They are so adorable.
Yeah, so
Oh
if you
my
want to see
gosh.
Jessica's kittens, join the Northern
Perspective.
Perspective Facebook group.
It's spelled PURR-spective.
No politics admissible.
Just
And
cute animals.
only politics.
That's lame.
Right?
You will be destroyed!
Freeland's feet. Freeland's feet? For $2. You make the hair on my toes stand Canada strong. There you go.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. And the Immigrant Beaver for $10. Seeing the Mandalorian Grogu movie with two coworkers. One never watches Star Wars, and we all liked it. Grogu has his moments of okay. Yeah, he did that. LOL. Movie night out for Ryan and Tanya. Do it. If we do that, we're gonna go see Masters of the Universe. So,
Oh, okay. I guess we've already decided.
So, we haven't actually been to a movie theater movie in over 10 years. So,
Yeah, we're always kind of concerned about
Vincent.
Vincent, like if it's going to be too dark, too noisy, too whatever. But there is still a drive-in theater in Hamilton, and
Starlight Driving.
Yeah,
Shout
we've
out.
taken him a few times, and he enjoys it.
So, Jehovah's Sickness for $5. Quote, I understand Canada is in a recession, but have you heard Carney's Davos speech? And love you guys and love from America. Thank you.
Davos speech. It's words. Words turning to bitter orange wax in my ears.
How dare you?
Right?
Lazarus for $5. Homelessness in Canada. Come on, guys. Legge says the Liberals are the most popular government in Canadian history. Recession, 80K new jobs. Yay.
Should we talk about the 80K new jobs now briefly, or?
You can.
Okay, so it's always good when the economy has more jobs, but I'm a little hesitant to celebrate just because many of them are in construction. 27,000, I believe, are in construction. And
Seasonal.
construction is typically a seasonal job. 20,000 of them were in the public service, which we all know it costs us money. It doesn't actually generate anything for
I thought
the
we were
economy,
making cuts to the public service.
right? Well, federal. I don't know if these were federal, municipal, whatever, but 20,000 in the public service. And then there was a decrease in the student unemployment rate, which is fantastic. However, I worry that these jobs are temporary as well. For example, every year in the last few years of high school and into university, my sister worked at Jet Boats Niagara, and it was seasonal, right? Like, it was a job and she loved it, don't get me wrong. But when when September came around and it was time for her to go back to school, the job ended because that was their season. So I'm kind of concerned that these are temporary or seasonal jobs. But I mean, we'll see what happens.
So, let's see. Need to go back to my other screen, or my other tab, rather. I don't have the luxury of screens here. Legion 14 for $10. I work right next to Albert Street, and they have a shelter near Somerset. Me and my coworker got our car broken into within a week. The homelessness and desperation is crazy. Yes, it
man.
is. AC Dave for $5. Drive to Quebec today. Noticed lots of homeless in Ottawa.
Yeah.
And Wesley Snipes, member for 25 months. Thank you for continuing to clarify the parliamentary procedure. Great, worthy interviews, and to the community as a whole. Thank
It's
you
our
very much.
pleasure.
And thanks for sticking with us for 25 months. Marty Best for $5. It's so disturbing to see the level of psychological abuse employed against Canadians from the government. Yeah, including all the gaslighting.
Yeah.
And we have Doodoo for $10. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Bittersweet news. Just got fired from my job at Pepsi, yet more relieved and do not worry. Got a new job already.
Oh, good. Very good.
All right.
And Doodoo again for $5. Don't forget that the 88,000 jobs are only part-time summer jobs. And
Yeah, and that's what I suspect. Again, I hope that's not the case because Canadians need jobs. We need more investment in this country. We need more jobs.
we need more full-time jobs.
Yeah, we need more good, high-paying jobs. But I have a bad feeling that they are going to be temporary jobs. Yeah. So I guess we'll have to see what happens when September, October rolls around.
Benjay Guitars for $5. We're getting a visit from Aaron Gunn at our Pints and Politics in Long Sault this week. Excellent.
Awesome. Very cool.
Say hi to Aaron for us, and we will be reaching out to Aaron for an interview at some point. Legion 14 for $5. If we had a good economy, we wouldn't need government handouts.
Yeah, 100%. And again, it's like the Liberals are putting a Band-Aid on a gaping bullet wound. It's not going to stop the bleeding, right? You have to fix what the problem is, not just apply a Band-Aid on top.
Okay. And Rabu Sades for $5. Wait, you don't ask leading questions? How will you ever be a competitor with David Cockroach in the CBC if you don't? Well, I will just live in the dumpster of more views than CBC. I guess that's where we'll just have to sit.
Darn.
And Marion Dundenhofer, member for 13 months. Okay, to disagree and make mistakes if you learn from it. Waiting on the Liberals and their supporters. Seriously, yeah. And Warpus SS for $10. If two people always agreed, one of them isn't thinking, but you'd be amazed at how many people have confused thinking with feeling, as per Thomas Sowell.
It's so true. Like, you speak to, and I find women especially do this. You'll be talking about the Conservatives and Pierre Poilievre, and they're like, well, I don't like that Pierre guy. Well, why? I just don't.
There's just something about him.
Yeah. Okay, like that's very clearly emotional thinking. If you can look at somebody and say, well, I don't like that person because they're a liar, they cheat, they steal, etc., etc., they have all these bad qualities, that's not necessarily an emotional argument. That's a fact-based argument.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Lazarus for $5, average fam of groceries, $17,000 a year. Carney spends $200,000, 3 plane trips, or about 12 years of family's grocery budget. World Economist, people.
It's so gross.
Yeah. And, ladies and gentlemen, he's leaving Canada again to go to Ireland and France to to deepen ties.
Maybe they'll keep him this time? You can have him. We'll pick a new prime minister.
Yeah. And Nancy Henley, welcome back to MP Supported. Thank you. And Opeachy for $5, heading to the Conservative AGM with Michael Chong to get my feet wet. Excellent.
Awesome.
By the way, nice to meet you and all of the great people at the North Speaks. Oh, wonderful.
That was, yes. We also did the event on Thursday night with Kelly DeRitter and Mario for the North, and Brad Viss was there as well. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
250 people showed up to that too, which is amazing. Just amazing. So, and
well, and before you continue, the one last night, Ryan had asked the audience, like, who is here that this is their very first event, and I'd say about half the room put their hands up, and that's phenomenal because we're like, all of us as a collective are encouraging our friends, our family, and everybody to get involved, and that's exactly what Canada needs.
Cam TJR for $2. A good chunk of the 88,000 jobs is for FIFA.
Oh yes, that's a good point as well.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Love how intelligent our audience is. It's amazing. And they help us out all the time. Chris Van Bommel for $5. Oh, it's you. All of the... Just me. All of the word salad Mark Carney hands out, there's still a lot of starving people. Yeah.
Huh.
Well played.
Yeah.
Irish Mist member for 30 months. Can't we do something about MSM and their blatant biased attacks on Pierre? I want to throw something through my TV when they spew regurgitated lies. It's very frustrating. And it's frustrating when they bring these people that are allegedly conservatives, but they have no pushback at all. So what's the point? Oh, wait, we know what the point is. They want Pierre out, all of them. Milo Nexus for $5. Trump isn't governing Canada, the LPC is. If Carney's government can't secure a deal, blaming Trump is dodging responsibility of managing the country.
Yeah,
100%. And like, how do you not blame the Liberal Party for this recession when they're the ones that have been in power for 10 years and Trump hasn't been here for the last 4?
Well, it's only a technical recession, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
As Pierre said in the House, you know, people are losing their jobs and their homes. Are they technically homeless?
And I saw this point brought up on social media, and I thought it was a phenomenal point because it was one that I was thinking of when I was thinking about the difference between GDP per capita and GDP. And Mark Carney almost said the quiet part out loud when they were asking him, and he finally answered something. He said, well, you know, we made a decision on immigration. And I said,
aha, there it is.
well, no, but it goes further than that. Have we been in because everyone says, well, we've been in a recession. Everyone feels it, right?
Yeah.
You see the reality of it. So would the numbers actually show that we've been in a recession for the last 3 to 4 years, if not for this massive immigration growth that artificially inflates GDP? Because that actually pushes up GDP just by importing more people. So if we hadn't had those people, our GDP wouldn't be as high, and it could in fact have been going down and actually showing the economy contracting over the last 3 to 4 years. So that may have actually validated what everyone else is actually seeing in their bank account, which is You don't have to announce that we're in a recession. I've been feeling that we're in a recession for the last 3 to 4 years.
No. We were in a vibe session for the last 3 to 4 years.
There's a lot of unparliamentary things that I could say, but I won't. But this is where it comes back to the interesting aspect of stats. So is it like, so they just now they stopped immigration, and that reveals where our economy really is. Where would we have been?
But the thing is, I don't even think they slowed it down that much.
No,
That's something I have to look into, the actual numbers, but
they have slowed it back down a little bit. So anyhow, a couple more. And Janet Gage, member for 24 months. Thank you for great, better than mainstream media reporting. Keep us up the great work. Thank you. And Friedland's Feet, that's going to be one of my new favorite ones, for $2. Is there a way for 2028 to come sooner for Carolee and Finley in BC? Sleep more? That's all I got for you. SLB Country Girl, member for 15 months. I'm not happy with the interview Vasi did with Corey tonight and Scott Reed. Their campaign seems to be in overdrive. We're going to be taking a tiny look at that today before we get to the rest of it. Janet Crett for $7. Coletto, newest poll, Liberal approval down to 7%. That's fascinating.
down 7%. Interesting. Let's
I'm just going to...
see if we can find that. That's Abacus, right?
Yep. So it shows that they went
From 47 to 44?
to 44, and the Liberal lead is down to 8, and their lead went down by 4. So that's interesting.
Very interesting. And it usually takes a couple of weeks for everything to get out into the news cycle. Does it say when the polling was collected?
June 2nd.
No, that's when it was presented.
Latest
no?
date of polling. Well, it's
But then usually the collection
2 weeks
period
before
is-
that.
Yeah.
So
We might
it'll be
still
interesting to see
more.
where they are in 2 weeks from now. That's where we'll see the recession announcement polling. So, but yeah, it's interesting how things will change. And Dudu for $5, but find it delightful. We are seeing the real Carney more and more as he keeps losing it in his MPs. We're going to be talking about that tonight too. So,
What's
okay.
wrong with Carney's leadership?
Right? Anyway. Okay, folks. So, since we're live in the Capitol, we thought we would talk about how alive or unalive the support for Mark Carney's MPs are. But before that, we talked about on our last live stream that there's going to be a campaign that was rumored to come out of Corey Tenike and his camp and potentially some other folks against Pierre Poilievre, like aggressively. And he didn't waste really any time in starting this. You know, he was saying some negative things before, but well, it kind of took the cake this time. And what does it say that even Tom Mulcair kind of pushes back on Corey Tenike when the NDP guy is actually saying to the Conservative, no, I think your Conservative guy kind of has it right. Check this out.
Jump off that, Corey, and ask you the same question about risk. Like risk as you see it for the government in this scenario and risk as you see it for the Conservatives.
Yeah, I have trouble disagreeing with much of what Scott said. I'd maybe add a third point. It's, whose fault and, and is there a recession? Yes. Agree with both those things. But who do you think is best to manage the economy? And I think that's the real challenge right now for the Conservatives. It's more than just the framing of who's to blame. It's who do you want to have in charge? And only about a third of Canadians want to see Poilievre in charge of the government over Carney. And that's a number that has to change if the Conservatives want to see their polling numbers improve. I would suggest that continuing to try to convince people of things that they don't, fundamentally believe as being true is probably not the right path. I agree with Scott on that as well.
Is there a world in which the argument does not land, the placing blame, for example, Tom, does not land in the short term, but potentially undermines things in the medium to long term?
I agree exactly with that point. I would add to what Corey just said, that there's a problem of tone. And it almost betrays what Corey's saying, that Poilievre seems to be gleeful about some of this bad news, but his tone goes off the track. And that's the reason why only about a third of Canadians want to see him in charge. But yes, he is laying down tracks now, and it's a bit of a stretch, and he exaggerates and he puts words in Carney's mouth and does all those things that Pierre Poilievre likes to do. But in the medium term, if things don't firm up, if the numbers don't bear out, and that's why I talk about the parliamentary budget officer, she's saying that there's a very slim chance that the economic projections of François-Philippe Champagne, our finance minister, are going to bear through. And if Carney's been basing himself on that, and medium term, the economy remains very soft, and longer term could even get worse, then there's going to be real problems for the Liberals. This is an all-in bet by the Liberals that they're making on resource development, on shrinking the size of government. We're waiting to see that. And
So, I'm still waiting for somebody to tell me and show me a clip where Pierre Poilievre is smiling and gleefully talking about the fact that Canadians are losing their jobs and they're being made to be homeless by the Liberal government. I'm waiting to see this glee because I have yet to see it.
No, what I see is somebody who is upset on behalf of Canadians. And, we've spoken to a few people and we've said, Pierre was really upset in that press conference and he was really upset in the House. And these are people who know him better than we do. And we're like, yeah, absolutely.
The only time I see him smile or laugh during these discussions is he is smiling and laughing incredulously at the excuses that are being made for Mark Carney and the Liberals by the reporters and the mainstream media who try to cover up for it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. But again, you look at the cash connection, right?
Right.
The mainstream media gets tax credits for their journalists. So why would they want to stop that by having a new government elected?
Now, Corey may have looked at his first answer and said, you know what, I don't think I was harsh enough. I need to do a lot better. So he said to himself to hold his own beer.
What do the Conservatives do, though, when they see economic data like they did earlier this week, Corey? And there is a 2/4 of the economy contracting when, to be fair, the Prime Minister has explicitly promised the opposite will eventually be the case, so much so that we'll be the fastest growing economy in the G7. Like, I take everyone's point 1,000%, but like, are they just supposed to say, well, so be it?
I do think you have to lay some, plant some seeds. But I also largely agree with Scott that the seeds they're planting are the wrong ones in terms of tone. I think you want to be pointing this stuff out, but with like sadness and regret, with a solemn tone, and put the focus on delivering results. Where I think that's where the Carney government is going to be, to Tom's point, more vulnerable over time if they don't actually get the resource projects done. Those sorts of things. I think that's a better vector of attack, because I think the one that they're on right now looks like Poilievre is applying to be a-hole in chief. And I just don't think that's the way to get more popular with the public. It doesn't improve your favorabilities to look like a jerk all the time. And I think he's at risk of doing that.
Okay, so this is the look that I gave Ryan when Carney dropped his parliamentary curse word. It was just like,
This is the Conservative, right? And even Vashi, her eyes were like, did you just say that? I thought you were supposed to be the Conservative. And listen to what Vashi's saying. Like, I hear what everyone's saying. Like, when Vashi's the one pushing back on the entire panel saying, what is going on here?
Well, maybe they should stop having Corey Teneycke on the show because he's not a real conservative.
Well, because all he's saying, oh, I agree with the Liberal. I agree with the Liberal. I agree with the Liberal.
Like,
So then what's the point of having him on if you're not going to have a counterpoint to the Liberal, CTV?
right. And the thing with these panels is you're supposed to have somebody on who is like, by and large, representative of that base. So the Liberal that you have on is supposed to be representative of the Liberal base, the Conservative of the Conservative base, the NDP of the NDP base. And that's not what happens ever on these mainstream media shows. I mean, I haven't seen Sebastian in a little while, and he is like representative of the Conservative base. And I haven't seen him.
Bassy, I'll come on. I won't even wear my hat. I'll come on. And I'll actually give a proper counterpoint to this. And it'll be good TV. Let me tell you, the views will go up. But
Especially on YouTube.
yeah, especially on YouTube. But anyway, like this is what we've been warning about, and off he goes. This is
the start of it.
This is the beginning.
Yeah.
So
You know, we warned about this last Sunday night because we had heard about it a couple of weeks before that, maybe a month before that. And then we heard about it again that weekend. And, you know, we put out the live stream. A few other content creators picked it up, which is fantastic because this guy needs to be called out.
yep.
But here it is. Like we're watching this happen in real time. It's insane.
Right. So so we may be talking about Mr. Teneycke a little bit more than usual over the next coming months, because we want to make sure Canadians know exactly who this guy is and that he is a complete traitor to the Conservative movement. And his actions have demonstrated that you have no interest in the federal Conservatives actually succeeding at all. Never mind in the last election, but definitely in any election coming up. So you need to be called out for what you are. So thank you very much for that. Now, the real story and what we're talking about tonight is the fact that, you know, the Toronto Star put out that story about all of these MPs that were really unhappy with Mark Carney.
They sure did, which is shocking for the Toronto Star.
Right. The Toronto Star is
Very liberal.
they're more liberal than CBC, if you can believe it. So I thought it was fascinating that another publication saw that and said, no way, we're gonna make our own contacts. And this is what they found. As Carney faces pressure to deliver, some Liberal MPs question his leadership style. This is from the Globe and Mail, folks. Behind the closed doors of a Liberal caucus meeting this spring, things grew heated between Prime Minister Mark Carney and Nova Scotia MP Jamie Battiste, the same thing that the Toronto Star reported. The two traded responsibility for the government's shaky relationship with Indigenous groups in an intense exchange that played out in front of all the other Liberal MPs gathered on the second floor of West Block for the party's weekly get-together. The friction was ultimately resolved in a private phone call later. The interaction was an example of the tension that's been playing out between Mr. Carney and his MPs away from the spotlight. And it's one that has some MPs questioning whether the internal political capital amassed by the Prime Minister for bringing the Liberals back from certain annihilation is at risk of being squandered by his leadership style. With Mr. Carney heading into his second year as Liberal leader and Prime Minister, the Globe and Mail spoke with 12 MPs about what their relationship is like with him as both sides adjust to a new political reality. Two MPs disclosed to the Globe that the Prime Minister told caucus last week that he's not interested in complaints, a message essentially the same as one recently delivered to a business crowd. This is also the same that was reported in the Toronto Star. Quote, "We don't want to hear what people are against. We want to hear what they're for," end quote, Mr. Carney told the Vancouver Board of Trade on May 20th. Quote, and if you're for something, we will get behind it," end quote. There are 174 MPs in Mr. Carney's caucus, and there is broad support for the direction he has set. But the MPs who spoke with the Globe said it comes with a caveat. Running a caucus is not the same as leading a company. That's why the exchange with Mr. Batiste generated a lot of raised eyebrows. 5 MPs said that on that day, the Nova Scotia MP was highlighting concerns about Bill S2, which amends the Indian Act, and more broadly about how the Liberal government is perceived among Indigenous groups. The MPs said Mr. Carney told him that the government's position on the bill had been decided with Mr. Batiste's input, and that if there was a negative perception among Indigenous groups, it was Mr. Batiste's issue to manage. 3 MPs described the exchange as the Prime Minister losing it on Mr. Batiste, ripping a strip off him or dressing him down. However, that last description was delivered with an asterisk. Other Liberals in the room, they said, sided with the Prime Minister in substance, if not his tone. This is significant, folks, and it's significant for a couple of reasons. Number one, you have the same account being validated almost point for point on 2 separate occasions by 2 separate reporting entities and 2 separate reporters. And the second point is that you have additional details that have come out of this that validate every single thing that was said in the Toronto Star report is now being reflected in this report by seemingly separate MPs. And it was very interesting in that last part that the MPs that spoke to the Globe and Mail said other Liberals in the room, not me, other Liberals in the room sided with Carney. Not necessarily how he said it, but what he was saying. And I think it's fascinating that Mr. Carney says, it's not my job to get the Indigenous folks on our side. My job is to make decisions. It's your job to make sure that these people toe the line.
As in speaking about the MPs, the Indigenous MPs.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's their job to get these special interest groups to actually come in line with the Liberals. So I think that's fascinating. Whereas this is supposed to be the Prime Minister that brings everyone together. Well, apparently this is the Prime Minister that brings everyone together by doing nothing to bring everyone together and delegates that down to MPs. So basically they have to clean up his political messes for him. And this is the way a CEO will operate. Not a good CEO, but a CEO nonetheless.
It goes and it makes a mess and makes his underlings take
Right.
care of it. Yeah.
And this is also where this friction is coming and bubbling up when they're saying, this isn't a company, this is a political party. Who could have foreseen this?
But, you know, this was my whole point back in, I don't know, February maybe, where, not this past February, the one before that, where I had said, you know, why would they choose Carney as a leader to be the Prime Minister? Because you want somebody who's moved up through the ranks. You want somebody who's started as a backbencher, who understands what it is to work for your constituents and how to make legislation and then be on a committee. And then maybe they're promoted to minister at some point, and then they become the leader of the party and therefore the Prime Minister. You don't want somebody just like off the street and then is thrown into Parliament and they have no idea how decorum works. They have no idea how to manage a caucus. They have no idea about anything.
I imagine the only door knocking Carney has done is for a handful of photo ops, and that's it. He'll delegate that task to other people. So
I bet they don't even go door knocking that right.
that's what I mean.
Yeah,
That's what I mean.
like, yeah.
So anyway, folks, so because this is all bubbling up and you have these leaks coming out of the Liberal caucus and they're actively going to different publications, Mr. Carney designated someone to be Mr. Damage Control, who is the chair of the Liberal caucus, James Maloney.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Several MPs told the Toronto Star this week that Mark Carney has a penchant for lashing out at caucus members, centralizing power and ignoring their concerns. CTV News' Rachel Ayalo asked Liberal MPs what they thought on their way into question period this week.
Well, I've certainly, like I say, it was basically what we had was a disagreement.
You've never seen the Prime Minister yell in a meeting?
No, never.
I have never seen the Prime Minister act other than respectfully, and he is someone who is used to being in a boardroom, and I appreciate the back and forth with him. He's an incredibly smart guy.
How would you describe his leadership style?
Confident. He has a good way with people. I would absolutely say that, and it's genuine. Like, he's a no kind of person. If he says it, he means it.
So
I totally believe that last interview.
I'll take things that never happened for $500, Alex. He's confident. What did they write down for me to say?
What are other good qualities? Let's just name some. Smart.
She's smart. He's smart. SMRT. All right, let's get to this.
does the Prime Minister have a caucus management problem? James Maloney is the Liberals caucus chair. He's with me here in studio. Hi, Mr. Maloney. It's a pleasure to see you. Thank you for making the time.
Always happy to be here.
And thanks for taking questions on this. I'm going to put a quote from the piece directly to you to get your response to begin. He yells, said one MP, who, like others, spoke on condition of anonymity to avoid retribution from the Prime Minister's office. He punches down at caucus all the time. Is that true?
Absolutely false. I sit closer to him in caucus than I'm sitting to you right now. When I read that 2 nights ago, I had a variety of emotional reactions. One of them was, concern. One of them was anger. One was great disappointment, because it's not true. It's absolutely not true.
Then why are people telling, a media outlet that?
Well, here, let me give you some context to start with, or your viewers' context, because you know this already. But I'm sitting here defending the Prime Minister, but I serve at the pleasure of the caucus. I was elected as caucus chair by the MPs in that room. So my job and my responsibility is to them and to him, because he's a member of caucus. So I'm not being sent out here to defend. I'm here to, look, the story's wrong. I'm sorry. The story.
I'm not being sent out here to defend. Oh, crap. I shouldn't have said that, because now I have to say what I was sent out here to do. The story's wrong. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, you have just failed, Mr. Maloney. I think he thought that this sounded good in his head, but when it came out, it really, really didn't come out that well. So congratulations, Mr. Maloney. Yeah, good job. Anyway, let's keep going.
The story is wrong. I read that, and I sit right beside him. I've never heard the man yell. It's just, I don't know where that came from.
So what about the part around, like, the idea of raising concerns versus coming to the table with solutions? And in this case, there were specific examples provided. For example, a Nova Scotia MP raising concerns over perceptions of the government's changes to the Indian Act. Another MP, a doctor, raising concerns about the federal government's lack of response to sort of a piece of legislation in Alberta about two-tier health care. Like, is the idea, can you bring forward concerns and concerns alone? And isn't that the job of MPs, to kind of represent the concerns of their constituents and relay it to the people who make decisions about it?
The latter part of your statement's 100%. My job as caucus chair is to make sure we have a safe environment where people, MPs and the Prime Minister and cabinet ministers, can voice their opinions. That's the whole purpose of the meeting. We're there for 2 hours every week. No phones, no media, no staff, and we have open and frank discussions. I'm never going to tell anybody ever what happens in that room, because what happens in that room is sacred. And that's one of the...
Wait a minute. I'm never going to tell anyone what goes in that room, because what happens in that room is sacred. Did this happen? This is absolutely false. That didn't happen in that room. Mr. Maloney.
I think your credibility is showing there.
How sacred is this? How sacred is this? Because if you're saying this didn't happen in this room and he never yelled, aren't you telling us what happens in that room?
No, he's telling us what didn't happen.
Oh, oh. So you're allowed to tell us what didn't happen in that room. You're just not allowed to say what did happen in that room? Oh, okay. Wow, you're as great a caucus chair as you are a chair of the Justice Committee.
But it's to say not at all.
Not a compliment.
Yeah.
The other reasons I was so upset the other night when I saw that, because people speaking, and I know the article said don't talk to the media. Look, I've spoken with you, I've spoken with other media. I'm happy to talk to media all the time, but I will never share a word of what happens inside that room, and everybody who's in that room should abide by the same principle, because it's a safe place. And it's a safe place because, as you pointed out, that's where we have these discussions. A lot of government policies have come out of that room because caucus members have an opportunity to voice their concerns, to raise issues that they hear from their constituents, whether it's in BC or Atlantic Canada or Quebec or Ontario. And that's what it's for. So we have wide-ranging discussions on a wide-ranging number of topics. So it's a big country and there's a lot going on right now, but it's a safe space. So there's dialogue. And my job is to make sure that people have that opportunity. We have a structure to the meeting. I set the agenda every week. And my number one goal is to make sure that people are able to go in there, and if they have an issue, to voice that issue and to try to find a solution.
Has anyone approached you from caucus with the kinds of concerns that are being reported in this piece? Because obviously people approach the author, approach the reporter, right? And she's relaying what people have told her. Has any of that ever? And I understand you have a perception of how things are going, but
No,
maybe
it's not,
others,
it's
maybe
not a
others do
perception.
too.
I'm there. It's not a perception.
Yeah, but you experience things one way and others may another way.
Okay, but I'm telling you, it's what was reported in that article. I don't even know how you could perceive it that way, because it's factually incorrect.
And can you be more specific? Like, are you saying it's impossible that some MPs would not feel as though the Prime Minister does not want to hear the concerns that they're reflecting from their constituents?
I can't speak to the minds of every member of caucus. Look, I've been in caucus for 10 years. This is a new government. When you're an MP getting up to speak, I mean, whether you're speaking to a minister or the Prime Minister or anybody else, it's a process. Sometimes people react to it differently. Some people are more comfortable doing it than others. But I'll say this over and over again, it is a safe space. So if people are uncomfortable speaking for some reason, that falls on me. That falls on me as a caucus chair. That's my responsibility to make sure that that environment is a place where we can have those discussions.
But you're telling me today, and if they're listening, that that's not happening, that it is a safe place, that there is no consequence if they feel differently. Like, if they're listening to this right now, are you really saying to them it's a safe space?
Great job, Vash. So, if they're feeling this way, and you're saying, well, this isn't happening, but this is a safe space, how could it be a safe space if you're telling them they're imagining this and this isn't happening?
It's a safe space for Mark Carney.
Right.
That's what he means.
Right. And this is where this liberal logic trips over itself, right?
Yeah.
Because what happened to lived experience? What happened to my truth? What about the truth of these liberal MPs that are in there that are getting blasted, yelled at, having Mark Carney lose it on them? Not my words, their words. Aren't you supposed to respect their truth? Their reality of what happened in that room, Mr. Maloney? This is what the Liberals have been telling us for the last 10 years and ramming it down our throats. So shouldn't you be practicing it in your own room? And Bashi's like, aren't you denying all of these people their lived experience here? Like, that's basically what she's asking. Brilliant.
If they're listening, and I hope they're listening, and I will say to them today, which I've said to them outside of caucus, if there's something you want to change, if there's something you want done differently, come to me. I'm more than happy to hear it. And I've had those discussions because, we change the flow of meetings on a fairly regular basis. We have to adapt to times and circumstances and issues. And if that involves finding a way to make people from one region or another more comfortable or giving them more time, that's what I do. But that's my responsibility. So sure, I have discussions all the time about how we can make it better.
So a few weeks ago when we talked just the night before Mr. Guilbeault quit, you were insistent that there was not any dissent within caucus. When he left, he did so in a respectful way, but he certainly made it clear in his departing interview with me that it was the government's record on climate, its actions on the issue, that prompted him to leave. Does that not show you, and I would also point out there's 2 different polls this week that I know your party's riding very high in the polls, but that show the NDP is actually, for the first time since the last election, gaining traction. Is there not some dissent? Mr. Guilbeault was unequivocal. There are others who feel as uncomfortable as him.
I think what I said to you 2 weeks ago is that disagreement doesn't mean dissent. There was lots of times over the last 10 years when the government was doing something that wasn't the way I would do it or wasn't something that I agreed with completely. But as I also said to you 2 weeks ago, we go into that room, we exchange views, and we come out on the same team. So there's disagreement, but people have to stop confusing that with dissent, because there's always going to be circumstances where people disagree. It's a big caucus. It's a big country. We have 173 people in that room. So the word dissent just does not factor into my psyche at all when it comes to caucus.
So when it's Conservatives, it's dissent, and it's Pierre doesn't have control of his caucus, and they're revolting, and blah, blah, blah. But when it's the Liberals, it's just disagreement.
Well, and maybe that just shows how crappy of a chair you are, Mr. Maloney, because
you can't tell the difference.
if you don't even know that there's dissent going on and people are literally leaving your party, leaving politics, and you don't, you're of the opinion, oh no, it's just disagreement, it's fine. Then you have one guy leave, and then you have a bunch of other ones running to the reporter saying Mr. Carney is acting like a CEO egomaniac in there and yelling at people and saying, I don't want to hear your concerns. I only want to hear yes men and yes women coming to me. Maybe that shows that you actually don't have a good handle on your caucus.
Well, I think to some degree, you could say that, you know, if as an MP you're going to come to me, the Prime Minister, with a problem, I want some ideas for solutions. Maybe you don't know what the right solution is, but you know this is going on in your riding. Maybe it needs more money, maybe it needs more attention, whatever it needs, I want you to tell me. So don't just come to me with problems. I think to a degree that is fair.
That's fine.
But this sounds a little bit more than that.
Well, and here's the other thing. And this is where Mr. Carney is obviously not a people manager. I'm not even going to say rule number 1 about people managing, because there are many rules that are just important as the other. But one really important rule in people managing is when you're going to dress down an employee, you never, ever, ever do it in front of other employees. Now, these people aren't employees. It's probably even more of a reason not to do this, because what that does is it shows everybody else that you are prepared to disrespect and completely humiliate this person in front of all of their peers.
Well, and it, to me anyways, it shows that you don't respect this person,
right,
that you think they're subhuman, that you think you are better than them.
Well, and it also demonstrates to everybody that your intent is to make sure that everybody knows that you are dominating that person and that you're the top dog in that room.
Right.
Versus, okay, Mr. Batiste, clearly we have a disagreement. Let's talk about this after caucus is done. And that way, A, it keeps it respectful. B, it shows everybody that you're actually proceeding with this disagreement in a respectful fashion. And C, it's allowing you to get through to the next topic of the meeting and not waste everybody's time.
And also, isn't it typically the whip and the House Leader who do the, I don't want to call it disciplining, but they have to kind of work to keep everybody in line, make sure everybody's going to vote the same way.
It is, but in this case, I think it's a little bit of a different scenario. So
no, but I'm saying, like, it should be James Maloney's job. It should be, I don't even know who the government whip is right now.
Mark Gerritsen.
Oh, yuck. It should be their job to do that sort of thing, not Carney. So why is he dressing down people in front of the entire caucus?
Well, that's the question.
Not a little bit though, like saying, "Oh, it's no big deal. Stephen Guilbeault left over
No,
this."
no, no,
like, because
no,
I mean, there is. I understand you're trying to distinguish between disagreement and dissent. Fine, he disagrees with the direction of the government on a very key issue for him and a number of his constituents. But that is so much disagreement that he left. He left federal politics. Like, is it really a time to downplay that?
Look, I'm not downplaying it. Nobody's downplaying it. He left for his own personal reasons. I've spoken with Stephen. I spoke to him before we made the announcement, which was the day after I was on your show last time. I've had a number of discussions, and he was, and will continue to be a supporter of this federal Liberal government. He's chosen to leave politics at this time. Yes, he's voiced some concerns of some issues that he feels strongly about, and he's an important voice. But we have other voices in caucus on that and other issues as well. So I don't think we should be reading anything into that other than Stephen Guilbeault decided to leave politics at this time.
That's a super interesting take because, you know, it sounds exactly like how Pierre Poilievre characterized people leaving the Conservative Party to move over to the Liberals, like downplaying the significance. And I understand why you would want to from a political perspective, but Stephen Guilbeault isn't just anybody. And he wasn't just saying, you know what, I think it's time to spend more time with my family. He was very specifically saying he can no longer support the growth agenda of your government because it has come at the cost of climate.
I don't think I sounded anything like Pierre Poilievre, just to be clear
in
about
that
it.
vein,
Yeah,
in that
no.
vein
And
where you're trying to say this isn't a big deal.
And I'm happy to pull out quotes when those members decided to cross the floor and join our caucus, I might add. Some of whom share the same views as, all of them share the same views as Stephen Guilbeault. So that's a false narrative. But look, Stephen, I will say it again, was a valuable member of our caucus. He's decided to move on. I've had these conversations with him. My colleagues have had these conversations with him. You probably saw his statement or his speech in the House of Commons when he was leaving. He's spoken to the media since. He feels strongly on some issues, but it doesn't mean he doesn't support this government.
But he's not willing to be a part of it anymore.
Well,
that's not nothing.
Okay, but I don't think there's people leave politics for a whole variety of reasons.
2 minutes ago, he said, nobody's downplaying it. Just wait 2 minutes more, and then I'll start downplaying it.
People leave politics for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, and one of those reasons is literally going on TV and telling everybody, I completely disagree with where this government is going, and this is the same gentleman who came out on TV a year ago and said, I completely agree with Mr. Carney. We're aligned in views and we're aligned in the direction, and I'm willing to put all of my support behind him. This is the same guy that a year later is now saying, I completely disagree with this government and the direction we're going, and I can't continue as a member of parliament. Yes, that is one of the reasons, Mr. Maloney, and that would be classified as dissent. And yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, this is what is going on in Mark Carney's caucus, and it is fascinating to see play out in real time. And what we were hoping and what we were predicting seems to finally be starting to happen, which is as the Liberal government gives this perception, although we all know better, but there's perception that they're moving away from this whole climate business. That perception is coming at the cost of the progressive vote saying, okay, if the Liberals aren't going to do this, the NDP seems to be the only ones that are doing it, I'm going to start to support them.
Yeah.
And this is what we need to happen.
Yeah,
this is where we need
good
that
for conservatives.
This is what we need, that split to happen and that progressive vote to start eroding away from the Liberals. And it's not going to happen overnight, folks. It's going to slowly chip and chip and chip and chip away. And hopefully, sooner or later, you're going to see that progressive chip off of the Liberals, and then the actual conservative side of this and the centrists are going to see that the Liberals are not actually doing that and not delivering on their climate promises, and that maybe the only option is to actually realize that Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives have been right this whole time.
Imagine that.
And maybe it's finally to give them that shot after 10 years of Liberal government and get this Conservative into a majority position so they can finally fix this country and get us back to having the most affluent middle class on the planet. So this is where we're at, and it is very, very interesting to see this slow motion car crash come out in and just unprompted, on display for Canadians to see, and to see James Maloney like just twist and turn and feel uncomfortable, and Vashi's like, really? Was that what you're really trying to tell me, Mr. Maloney? Okay, fine. I don't believe you, but okay, fine. So, anyway, hopefully that was informative for folks, and gives everybody kind of a little bit more optimism, because change is going to come. It's going to come slowly, but it's going to come.
Well, and the mask is slipping, right? Everybody thought, well, not everybody, but many people thought that Mark Carney was this genius banker, and he's this nice old man, and he's smart and this and that, whatever. And we're seeing he's not. Look, we're in a recession now. So clearly, you know, he's not this genius economist that everybody thought he was. We are not, like, we don't have a deal with the United States, which was one of the things that he promised. Like right out of the gate, 11 months ago, we were supposed to have one. And now we're learning that he doesn't treat his caucus very nicely either.
And this is what happens when you really don't have to manage anybody in your career. You spend all your time in spreadsheets and in account ledgers, and then all of a sudden, here you go. You're pushed out to manage over 174 people that don't actually report to you and don't really have to do what you say, but you think that they do.
And this is why, you know, the Liberals and the supporters will just rag on Pierre for being an MP for 20 years. He has the experience. He has the knowledge. He knows how government works. You know, I wouldn't go to a surgeon who used to be the former governor of the Bank of Canada last year or whatever, and then is now the prime minister. Like, that's stupid.
Yeah, it's very interesting. The thing that where Pierre has a huge advantage is that he understands the different government levers to pull and push in order to get things done, and get things done relatively quickly in government terms. That's still probably very slow by our terms.
Public or private standards.
Yeah. But in the government sense, it is fairly quickly. So
before we continue, if you would kindly take a look at the petitions in the description of the video. 2 out of the 5 of them that are currently there are closed for signature, but the ones that are still available are the first one. It's 7373. Then number 3, which is 7351, and number 4, which is 7343. If you're looking at this after the fact, I will remove those ones that are closed for signature, but right now that's what we've got.
if you see us pointing, Vincent's just circling the impromptu steps.
Yeah, we don't want him to like hit the tripod or anything.
Doo-doo for $5, thank you very much. But I find it delightful we are seeing the real Carney more, and I already read that, so thank you very much. And the Immigrant Beaver for $5. Did you hear Guibault said Trump is ahead of Carney in the environment this week on a Quebec talk show? Great hit piece saying Trump beats Carney. Isn't that fascinating? Isn't that fascinating? And Lazarus for $2. I wish him the safest of flights. And Peter Witten for $5. Hey gang, joining late. Be kind to those we love, but do not know what is this no. But do not know what this knows. Sift. Thank you. And Jim Ross for $10. Homelessness and poverty in Ottawa. Liberals are blind and can only see Liberal donors needing more taxpayer dollars because sharing with Liberals is caring for regular citizens. Right. And Glenn Stewart for $2 in Quinte West. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you for that. Let's write that down.
Okay.
And Legion 14 for $10. The old ATI plant we should refurbish and convert into RAM chips to supply AI. That will create high-paying jobs and help make billions to pay off debt. It would be great, but the catch is where all the RAM comes from is very, very low-paid labor force. So if we can figure out how to do that, I'm all for it. And T. Anderson for $5. Was at a Legion yesterday. It was 100th anniversary of D-Day. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. It was... Wait a minute. No, it wasn't. How could it be 100th anniversary of D-Day? 100th anniversary...
26?
It was the... No, it wasn't 100th. Anyway. Was great to acknowledge Canadian sacrifice involved. 16,000 Canadians landed. Yes, they absolutely did. Minecraft Mary for $5. As much as we love Ryan's hat, we love Tanya's hair more.
Oh, thank you.
And so you should, because she spends a lot more time on her hair than I do on my hat.
It has been such a rough couple days because first I was in the car all day, and then it rained, and so my hair was just like whoosh. And now today I'm just like, okay, I'll curl it and see what happens.
It's the 82nd anniversary of D-Day. That's where I want to be here. And we have Easily Joe for $5. I am 26, jobless. I don't want a better economy. I want justice and knowing that the people leading me have my interests. That would boost Canada a lot. Yes, it absolutely would. And this is the demographic that we need. Someone, I don't care if it's Liberals or not, fix the core demographic of Canadians that need jobs right now. And this is the 15 to 35 bracket. Rebusays for $5. In my opinion, we not only have been in recession for the last few years, they have been cooking the books with the CPP funds. At this point, it's a depression.
Yeah, because in Canada, there is a reason for it. I forget. I think I had read it on the Fraser Institute, but I forgot. They lump in the CPP as a government asset, as if they could spend it, but they can't. So
laws prevent that.
When they're comparing Canada against other countries in the G7, that's why they're always like, oh, well, we have the best economy in the G7, or we have the best net to GDP ratio, or things like this.
Net debt to GDP ratio.
Thank you. And it's because they include the CPP as an asset, but it's not theirs, it's ours, right? So the fact that they are including it when they cannot use it is just trying to fudge the numbers.
Yeah. Next we have Facian for $3 super pair. Thank you very much for that. Philip Edmondson for $20. I've seen prices increase almost 100% since 2018. I am the grocery store shopper in this family, and it's been gross about food costs. It doesn't help that I work in grocery retail, and seeing those costs increase, depression city. Yeah. Myron Ends, welcome back to NP supporter. Thank you very much. Spike and Mikey 33, member for 29 months. Please hit the like button. More people needs to hear the truth. Absolutely. We're at 2749 right now, so that'd be great if we could get to 3,000. And we have Quacker Crumbs for $7. It's a bigger recession than many realize. If they didn't count the CPP, it would be worse than the stats claim. Throw money at a problem and create debt. We're just going to make sure that Vincent navigates, not stepping on cords.
There you go.
There we go. And Myron Ends for $20. I personally believe that the polls are cooked as well. No way it's like that. And Construction Cronies for $2. Thank you very much for that. Well, the polls are going to be coming down. That's all I'm going to say. And Facian dropping 5 Northern Perspective memberships. Thank you very much. Construction Cronies member for 34 months. Great to see you, Chris. 2 months away from 3 years. Oh my God, let's go MP. Love you guys. Beautiful family. Most excellent morals and values. Great community. So proud of 100%.
Absolutely.
Man, 3 years.
Well, and I think that's the thing. We're not just conservatives online. Like, this is our life. Like, we raised Vincent in a nuclear family, conservative household. You know, he's not allowed.
Often mobile family.
Yeah, very mobile. He's not allowed to call people by their first name. It's always Mr. or Mrs. or uncle and aunt.
He has a lot of uncles.
He has a lot of
people that we refer to as uncles.
Like he calls Marion, our assistant, Auntie Marion.
And Larry Brock is Uncle Larry. So all the MPs are uncles and aunts. So. Lazarus for $10, only country in the G7 in a recession, and we're facing all the same issues as everyone else, and somehow they're all fine compared to us. But now we're the strongest in the world, led by a genius. Yeah, this is the crazy part. And they're still not talking about the fact that we're in a recession. They're like, Mr. Polyev, I don't know if I like his tone. How about let's talk about Mark Carney's tone in his caucus meetings. Let's talk about that tone.
Well, and not just that, but he's not fixing the economy, which is what he promised. He's not getting a deal with the states, which is what he promised. He can't handle Donald Trump.
Which is what he said he would. And let's just make sure I get the full name of this. Future Conservative Leaders, thank you very, very much for dropping 5 Northern Perspective memberships. Very much appreciated. Myron ends for $20. Just remember Mark Carnage's PhD stands for piled higher and deeper. Wow, that's a good one. And Freeland Shoes. Where are my boys?
What the hell is going on?
Freeland Shoes. Remember for 16 months. The names in this chat are ridiculous. I mean that from the bottom of my soul.
WTF.
Rabu Sadies for $2. Troubling when the host is the most conservative. Right? Yeah. And Annie Young, member for 27 months. Ryan on CTV. Yes. Peter Whitten for $5. Despite the ridiculousness of it all, I feel more fired up and hopeful than ever. Silly me. Let's bring it home. Kudos to Peter Whitten, one of the most optimistic people in NP Nation. I absolutely love it. And Pam Lambert, member for 29 months. Time for a writing protest to get Corey off the air. That's not a bad idea. And you can definitely do that. Write to the CTV ombudsman.
Does CTV have an ombudsman?
Probably.
I don't know, but you can probably write to the show producers.
I'm sure there's many email addresses to write to. And grumpy old, I want to make sure I have this. Grumpy old madman.
Amazing.
Everyone changing their names today? If so, I love it. For $7, you don't laugh at stupid answer. You get mad and demand answers for the Canadian people. Well, I do both. I laugh because otherwise I would cry, and then I get to work. Myron ends for $20. Thank you very, very much. The Liberals would include a once-a-month lawn mowing job for a 15-year-old if it improves their numbers.
They probably would.
Only if the lawn never got mowed. And Jessica Van Luke for $7. I'm tired of people who support Corey saying, he was on Harper's campaign team. How dare you claim a Harper Conservative is a Liberal? He's not one. No, he's not.
Not anymore.
No, he's
Maybe
not.
he was at one point, but doesn't seem that way anymore.
And that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Woofers SS for $20. I hate to, well, before I move on to that. So here's the difference. People who say, well, he was a Harper Conservative, how dare you say that? Harper actually came to a rally of peers. Corey didn't. So the prime Harper of the Harper Conservatives actually came out to support Pierre and endorsed him. Corey didn't. So that just shows who is still a Harper Conservative and who is not. Woofers says that's for $20. I hate to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but can't help but wonder if there's something fishy going on. We had Ford pretty close with Carney, and with tonight being on Ford's campaign, it makes me go, No, it's you don't even have to be a conspiracy theorist. He's literally on the air saying, I agree with the Liberal. I agree with the Liberal. I agree with the Liberal. And then he starts attacking the Conservatives.
Well, and then the rumors that we're hearing, again, just rumors, but that there may be an appetite for Corey to try to have Pierre unseated as leader.
Yeah. Well, let's just clarify that. So the appetite is not going to be from inside the Liberal Conservative caucus. It's from someone or some folks that are outside of the caucus. And from what we've heard, somewhere in the provincial government.
Yeah.
But that's what we've heard.
Thank you to Mervyn Rice for sending 20 Northern Perspective memberships. Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much for that. And Future Conservative Leaders dropping 5 memberships as well. Thank you very, very much. Shell Crow for $7. Thankfully, we ejected tonight in BC by voting out Elliott as the new leader of the BC Conservative Party. Yeah, and you know, again, I have nothing against Miss Elliott, but hiring Corey was the death knell of her campaign, unfortunately. So, and now credit to Carolyn Finley. She was at 3%, I think we saw in the polls at one point.
Do you think this is like a redemption arc for Corey? Because if he blew such a massive lead, and maybe the only way to like redeem yourself is to install somebody as the leader and future prime minister, like, I don't know.
Good luck. We're making Corey as famous as we can. So, Jessica Van Luke for $7. Stop speaking on behalf of RPM. Both the far left and the far right are guilty of this, making false claims and statements on Harper. Like, just stop. Exactly. And Eugene Bambaco for $7. Keep fighting the fight, you two. You're doing a great job. I wish they'd make people more accountable and arrest them and charge them if they lie. Well, we need different laws for that.
What we need is Canadians to actually be paying attention and not being like, well, I like that politician, I'm still going to vote for them, even though, you know, there's all these things they've done that are super corrupt.
Right. But this is why we're so appreciative of NP Nation, because you are paying attention.
Exactly.
Libby T, a member for 24 months. Congratulations on your 2 years. Do you know what is going on with Bill C-22? I thought it was defeated in the Senate. No, Bill C-22 is actually still in the House. It's not in the Senate yet.
It's in committee right now.
There was Bill C-2. That was the first iteration of this, and there was so much backlash to that actually got scrapped, and then that came back as Bill C-22.
No, you're not C2.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
C2 got turned into C12.
Oh. Why am I thinking C-22? Anyway,
C22 is the online harms bill, and I'll drop the link in the chat just if anybody wants to take a look. The last time it had anything done to it was Thursday, May the 7th, which was in committee, so a month ago today. And I don't know if they are working on a report. I don't think so, because last I heard through the news was that they are going to take it and rejig it a bit.
So we'll see what happens. Rabbit Hayes for $5. I am low-level amazed that House Father can still bring himself to sit with the Liberals. The Liberals project is what is happening to them on a... Yeah, so this is where I shake my head at people like Anthony House Father. The anti-Semitism that is happening in this country is a direct cause. Even if you don't believe it's a direct cause, it's an indirect cause of how the Liberals have been running this country for the last 10 years. And he was thinking about moving away from the Liberals. Now, it's not like the Conservatives would have accepted him, but he was saying, I'm reconsidering my future with the Liberal Party. And then Justin Trudeau gave him this phony title of, like, you know, head of anti-Semitism investigation or something like that.
Something like
Special advisor, whatever.
Yeah.
And then he said, oh, okay, that'll be fine then.
Well, and I think it just shows that some people's integrity has a price.
Right. And the funny thing is like, he wouldn't have gotten paid any money to do it, but maybe he would have gotten trips and stuff like that.
Or prestige, or who knows what.
And things have only gotten worse.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of the problem is under the old immigration system, people were scored, right? If you have a professional degree, you score here. If you speak English or French, you score here. And then the Liberals got rid of that, and we started bringing in people who came from countries that perhaps maybe they didn't understand our culture, where here in Canada you have lots of different religions that all live together side by side peacefully. And when you come to Canada, you know, there are people who are gay or lesbian, whatever, that live here, and some religions forbid that. Some religions are very aggressive towards that. So I wonder if a lot of people who came from these other countries didn't understand exactly what the culture of Canada was, and the government didn't really do anything to help support the understanding. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Peter Whitten for $2. Bolognese is a crap chair. Kelly McCauley rocks.
Kelly McCauley does rock. He's awesome.
And
we'll let him know you said that. if we see it. We were debating on the other day, just kind of standing at O'Connor Street one day this week and just kind of like saying hi to everybody that goes by, because that's where they go in and out of West Block. So we'll see.
Yeah.
You guys are going to love this one.
Future Conservative leaders gifting 10 Northern Perspective memberships. Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much for that. Lazarus for $2. Safe place. Holy, they got a crying. Yeah, they must. They must. Wiffer says that's for $10. Who else thinks Maloney is talking baloney? I'm sure you got a great amount of chat in that. I hope they're listening. Code for shut up. And
last one, because it's that time again.
a Wayward Sailor for $5. I wonder what the government of the Bank of Canada, or governor of the Bank of Canada, says about the recession. Isn't it the governor that guides us through recession, not the PM and the finance minister? Right? Right, it's his fault. It's his fault. But, you know, Carney will take credit the minute they're out of a recession, right? And this is where this is actually a great line. Pierre should say, no, Mr. Carney made it clear it's not the Prime Minister that gets us out of recessions. It's the Governor of the Bank of Canada. So Mr. Carney actually didn't do a freaking thing to get us out of this.
But didn't we learn about that today? We went to the Bank of Canada Museum, which is right across from the Confederation Building. And I'm pretty sure that's what we learned today.
Well,
I don't know. Vincent was playing like this little video game where you had to like keep the inflation at 2%. It was ridiculous and fun at the same time.
It was free, so, you know, it fit our budget. Anyhow, here we go.
Oral questions, oral questions.
Oral questions.
Let's be careful about some of the words we use. People are watching at home. Their kids are watching.
It's that time again. It's MP question period time. You ask us the questions and we will answer as accurately as we can. If you would like to ask a question, please tag @Barnaby from Northern Perspective and he will copy and paste the questions up to us. The first one is from the Morris Michael D. It says, great to see NP in Braeside this weekend. Love the wrap on the cart. Do you think Rebel News billboard truck makes much of an impact? It's eye-catching, absolutely.
Yeah, but does it make an impact? I don't know.
I don't know, because you know what? Maybe you see the truck come down and then it's got, you know, whatever statistic on it. Maybe people don't know about that statistic or that piece of information, and then they go home and Google it, or maybe they're just standing on the sidewalk and they look it up on their phone. So it could.
Yeah, my thought is this: I don't see too many, especially during the political like events, like elections and stuff like that. So if more people, if it did work, I would think we would see more. But I would hope that if it didn't work, they wouldn't continue spending money on it. So it must get them some sort of benefit. So
another one from the Morris Michael D. It says, some people don't vote at all because they think politicians are liars and crooks. With your insight into politics, how do you think this applies in Canada?
It's a really good question. So what we can say is that in our interactions with many MPs, there are a great many MPs that have a lot of integrity. And
they're on the Conservative caucus.
Yeah. And I will also say, I'll actually say, I think Don Davies of the NDP tries to have integrity, and I think he does a serviceable job. And although he is an MP for the NDP, I'll say I you know, he's earned my respect as an MP, despite the fact that he doesn't agree with our policies and he doesn't agree with the direction that we want the country to go. But I can respect him as a member of Parliament that is acting for his constituents. So
yeah, you can have respect for somebody who believes what they believe and is doing it honestly.
And I saw that in the way he spoke to the media as interim leader, when he was when he came out and did that amazing speech at the press gallery dinner.
That was fun.
That was phenomenal. And the fact that he introduced this private members bill on floor crossing, I can definitely say, yeah, I can respect you. I don't agree with anything that you stand for, except this private members bill, but I can still have respect for you. So I think there are definitely a good number of politicians that that are in there for the right reasons and they have integrity. The problem is the Liberals have done such a terrible job over the last 10 years, and there's so much corruption that's come out of them that they have definitely reinforced this stereotypical narrative out there that all politicians are liars and crooks, and it doesn't help.
Well, and a lot of them have been in government for a very long time, and I think a lot of them have stopped caring, unfortunately. Liberals, I mean. And I think part of it is like, well, you know, our prime minister can break the law and get away with it, so maybe I can too. I don't know. Autistic Avenger asks, I seriously hope polls shift in the next year, otherwise I'll be worried Pierre will lose again, and who knows what will happen at that point. Your thoughts?
I don't disagree. I think you have it right. Now, it all depends if an election's coming next year, but if the polls do start to shift, and Carney still gets, and Carney lets everybody see him more and more, the real Mr. Carney, would the real Mr. Carney please stand up? I think the chances increase that we have an election sometime next year. And I think that chance increases because I think we'll see more and more people leave the Liberal Party. So, so for that, but yeah, Pierre has to win the next election. Otherwise, that is the last that you're going to see Pierre's league. He would step down after that point. For sure.
Liam Conway asks, hello, Ryan and Tanya. Would you like to see Pierre Poilievre and Mark Carney in a boxing match? I'm going to say no because it's not a fair fight. I was on, I want to say it was Facebook today, and Pierre's personal trainer had posted a video of Pierre swinging a 40-kilogram kettlebell. Like, dude's jacked. I mean, I remember when it was the summer of 2023, and we had met him for the first time. And you see all these stupid Liberals online going, Pierre wears one of those muscle T-shirt things, and I'm like, I gave him a hug, and no, he doesn't.
So dumb. So dumb.
So dumb. Yeah. So I don't think it would be a fair fight. Jessica Van Luke asks, with all that's going on inside the Liberal caucus, do you think the MPs will try to take him down as leader? That's the funny part. They can't. They absolutely cannot, because they did not vote to adopt the Reform Act.
Yeah, this is the hilarious thing.
Yeah.
So after just going through this with Justin Trudeau, Mark Carney comes in, and they're like, oh, yeah, that won't happen again. And now look at us a year in. Just a year in. It took them 10 years to get to that point with Justin Trudeau. Yeah. And now they're already running to the media and complaining about Mark Carney. This is the hilarious thing. They can't get rid of him.
So Gothic Blonde asks, how is it looking towards a no confidence vote in the House of Commons for C9? So a Bill C9 has already passed through the House of Commons, and it is currently, it's either in the Senate or it just left the Senate. Give me 2 seconds and I will find out for you.
I got it. It's fine.
It's right here. So they have sent a message to the House of Commons on Thursday, June 4th, so this past Thursday, and I can actually drop the link in the chat of what the statement is. So I'm guessing what they've done is that they are requesting changes to it. Oh, did my thing just freeze? Yes, it did. Of course. So I'm going to drop this link in the chat, and you guys can take a look at it if you like. I believe that they've asked for changes. So essentially it goes back to the House of Commons. The House votes whether or not to make those changes. And I don't believe, unless it is explicitly specified, it's not a confidence vote. Some bills are always confidence votes, like money bills. Anything to do with money is always a confidence vote. But something like this is not automatically a confidence vote unless it is made a confidence vote. And I believe it's the government that would have to do that. So I doubt that they would make it a confidence vote. Next question is from Autistic Avenger. It says, do you think people would be scared enough about Trump that Carney stays ahead until Trump's gone? I don't know. Because to me, in some people's minds, right, you've got these two problems, right? You've got what's happening in Canada with recession and jobs and inflation and all that stuff. And then you've got Trump. And for some people, what's happening in Canada is not bad enough yet for them to remove their focus from Trump and say, like, wow, this needs taken care of. We need to go to our government and demand a better government. I think there will come a point when things unfortunately get so difficult for the majority of Canadians that they will kind of realize we can't do this anymore. And it's not Trump's fault. It's our own government. And that awakening will result in a new government.
You can only cry wolf so many times.
Yeah, that
and
too.
What I believe the Senate sent back to the House is so they had passed C9 with an amendment that they had implemented in the Senate, and that was to add the SS bolts, right, or the Sigrun, to that list of symbols that were banned. Because remember, the Conservatives tried to add that
the hammer and sickle
in committee. No, but the SS bolts to the banned symbols, and the Liberals wouldn't take it. But they added it in the Senate, so they were essentially sending it back to the House. Do you accept that amendment? So that's where this is now.
Sorry, I am on the wrong screen. Wolf547 asks, with Parliament ending next week, will Mark Carney stay in Europe until Stampede and then leave again? Possible. I mean, one would hope that he would be doing what the other MPs are doing, which is staying in the riding and helping their constituents. But who knows?
He'll find another reason to get on a plane and go somewhere else.
Cindy I4W asks, doesn't the fact that people are complaining about an interview with the Israeli ambassador kind of prove the point that anti-Semitism is alive and well in Canada?
That's an interesting observation.
I will tell you some other interesting observations regarding this interview that I noticed, because at that point we were in the car on the way to Ottawa, so I had nothing to do except sit on my phone. And one of the things, oh no, sorry, we weren't on the way to Ottawa, it was yesterday, so we were on the way to Arnprior. Anyway, one of the things I noticed is there were a lot of people who had never commented on the channel before, because we can see that, and they were threatening to unsubscribe. But they weren't subscribed in the first place, because on certain profiles we can see that too. And then on the ones where we couldn't, nobody was unsubscribing, because we could see in real time on a different page how many people had unsubscribed. We had people who almost immediately after dropping the video were criticizing
what we did and what we did not talk about.
Yeah, what we did and didn't talk about, what Ryan did and didn't ask. And it was a 45-minute or 46-minute video. So after, the video only being live for 5 minutes, there's no way you can know what's in there, because the transcript isn't even made yet. So I think we were attracting a lot of
anti-Semitic folks.
But people who weren't even channel members.
Yeah.
Because, or like they don't regularly watch Northern Perspective.
Yeah, they weren't viewers.
Yeah, it was very, very bizarre. Yeah.
So it's an interesting observation.
But I will say that some of the comments, I saw you guys pushing back, so thank you.
And if you don't like the fact that we interview someone, that's okay. You're allowed to have that opinion. That's fine, and you're allowed to disagree. But that's a lot different than some of the comments that were actually left on
Yeah.
that. So.
Jeff McQuiggan asks, how strict does the government intend to be for residential school denialism, as trivial as a chat with a neighbor or intended for saying these things on a mass scale?
So that doesn't matter.
The Senate voted it down.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you're aware. So what was big news earlier was that in committee, in the Senate committee, they adopted, or they tried to add an amendment that would criminalize residential school denialism. But when that got to the main chamber and they voted as a whole on that amendment, it got voted down. So that's actually, I don't believe that's in Bill C9.
Which, I mean, that goes to free speech. There are some things that are free speech and there's some things that are not free speech. But to me, this is free speech. Having a discussion about, you know, evidence and testimony and these kinds of things, it shouldn't be criminalized. You know, exploring ideas should not be criminalized.
Yeah.
Especially if it's done in a respectful manner. Milo Nexus asks, perhaps Corey is trying to take out Pierre for someone who represents his financial interests. That might explain why he's so intent on taking Pierre out of the picture.
Well, here's another way to look at that. So Corey Tenike runs a lobbying firm, a rather large lobbying firm. Pierre hates lobbyists.
He does, yes. So for all those liberals online that are like, you know, Jenny Byrne was a lobbyist and Melissa Lansman was a lobbyist and blah, blah, blah. Yes, true, but they are not lobbyists anymore. And Pierre does not like lobbyists.
Right. So, so Corey is very afraid of Pierre getting in, because that means that if Pierre does what he says he's going to do, that means his government will be ending Corey Tenike's gravy train and a lot of these other lobby firms' gravy trains of getting paid to lobby the government. So Pierre's perspective is have the business themselves talk to the politicians. You want to talk to them about something? You go talk to them. There shouldn't be this lobby crap going on and people getting rich off of this stuff.
Pure Essence asks, if Mark Carney is already losing his temper with members of his own party, how does he plan to handle the pressure of the House of Commons question period?
Well, we're starting to see that, and I'm thinking that's why he's not there.
So he can't control his temper?
I think they've seen the early indications of how well or not well Mr. Carney performs in question period, as well as I think Mr. Carney thinks it's beneath him, which is why he's not there.
Yeah, possibly.
So, number one, this week is prime as evidence as to why the Liberals are terrified of Mark Carney being in question period, because the one clip that we took from that, where he was laughing at that person being homeless and jobless, that got over 1 million views.
Yeah.
Across all of the different
platforms. And you know, the thing about this, we mentioned this at one of the events we were at yesterday, but we haven't said it on the channel yet, is that, so this clip of Pierre on his birthday and the Prime Minister going back and forth, that was on Wednesday. Tuesday night, we received an email just before midnight, and it was threatening the life of Mark Carney. Now, I think you guys know that we don't like Mark Carney or his politics. We don't think he should be Prime Minister, but he's still a human being. And so, because this was so graphic, we forwarded it to the Parliamentary Protective Service. And then the next day, to see him behaving like this, when Pierre is telling him this woman lost her home and her job, and Carney's behaving like it's a joke, I'm like, you know, I don't even know what I was thinking. I was just so upset because I'm like, you know, we show you compassion even though we dislike you, and you're supposed to be the Prime Minister of this country, taking care of the people in this country, and this is how you behave when you hear that a woman in a Conservative riding is homeless and jobless.
Well, and we as, you know, political commentators are able to act with more compassion and respect and non-partisanship than you are. So It was a disgusting display to see on the floor of the House of Commons.
Yeah, just no compassion whatsoever. It was not. I don't even have the words. It was bad.
Yep.
Wolf 547 is asking, did you get my last question? Which I believe we did. Having computer issues tonight. Next question, how much do you think Carney's undocumented bonuses pays LeBlanc and Mulroney for damage control?
Mulroney or Maloney? Probably Maloney.
Maloney, sorry, did I say that wrong? It says Muloney.
Oh, I don't think I don't think that Mark Carney feels he should pay them for damage control.
They just have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is where I believe that this is going to go wrong for Mark Carney. Because I think Mark Carney is sitting in that room thinking, and maybe even telling these people, I don't have any insider info on this yet. I think he's in there telling these people, you wouldn't be here if it weren't for me.
Yeah, maybe.
You people would be in the political wilderness if it weren't for me. If I didn't come along and get you out of this. And that's not going to, long term, not really an investment in personal relationships. Just saying.
Next question is from Frapp Harden. It says, do you think that this is the start of a broader shift in the polls, the start of a new trend? Cons back up as well as NDP as Liberals fall.
So you're going to see fluctuations, right? So you're going to see parts where the Liberals go up, Liberals go down, Liberals go up. What we're looking for is a trend, and I'm expecting to see a very gradual trend, and a gradual trend is what I want, because sharp ups and downs, easy to get excited about, easy to get depressed about, but they're specific moments in time. What I want to see is over a long period, this gradual shift, because what that shows us is that slowly but surely, the opinion of the Canadian electorate is turning. And that's what happens when you get real change and real political shift in a country, is you get a gradual shift.
Real change takes time.
Yeah. Like, to show one data point where, the Liberals jump up 8 points and everyone's going to be like, oh my God, the Conservatives are going to get killed. Well, no, because that's going to normalize back down. So I'm okay with, fluctuations. I want to see 6 months from now, 8 months from now, 12 months from now. I want to see that gradual change.
We got 2 more questions. Marcelio13 asks, is Pierre potentially setting himself up to take the fall for economic woes with his plan to cut immigration? He'll be fighting an uphill battle if it's a minority. I don't think so, because that's not the only part of his plan. The main thing that the Conservatives want to do that the Liberals are not is they want to put in a pipeline, and they also want to get our resources out of the ground. If we're sitting on a gold mine, why are we just going to let it sit in the ground?
Well, there's 2 main measurements, right? There's GDP per capita and there's GDP. So ideally, you want both. And we're going to be dropping an interview this week with Catherine Swift, who is an amazing shoot-from-the-hip economist, who is the president of the CCMBC.
Yep.
I think so. And we talked to her a little bit about this. So the main difference right now is Mark Carney isn't creating jobs in Canada. That's the big problem. And we've seen that. So if you stop immigration, but you're creating more jobs, you're bringing down unemployment, GDP per capita goes up, GDP goes up. Because you have more people employed, that means you're producing more things, and that means your GDP is going up. What's happening with Mark Carney is, even though he's slowing immigration, unemployment is going up. You would expect unemployment to go up the more people you bring into this country, because there should be fewer jobs. But that's not what's happening. When you're slowing down immigration, you would expect jobs to go, or unemployment to go down, and the number of people employed to go up. That's not what's happening. But when you get rid of these anti-development laws and all this stuff, all of a sudden these people that are running these mega huge pipeline and LNG corporations, they're like, okay, now Canada's open for business. Let's get in there and let's start building.
Right. When you get rid of that uncertainty, then companies will come in and invest.
And then And this is maybe one thing that Pierre can go to the Ford government, get them on side with, and say, Doug, you may not like me, I may not like you, but can we both agree that we need that ring of fire in Northern Ontario open? That will be one of my main campaign pushes. Get on side with me.
Yeah.
That's what I would offer as an olive branch.
And last one is from Wendy Kitt. It says, Ryan, is it only the RCMP that is responsible or supposed to be investigating government corruption? Thanks for all the MP team for your hard work and uniting us.
So that's the interesting thing. So police units are only supposed to investigate crimes that occur within their jurisdiction. So the fascinating thing about this is if somebody in Ottawa is engaging in potential criminal activity in the government, there's two different bodies that can investigate that. One is the RCMP, because their jurisdiction is across the nation. There's another one that can do that too, because it's within their jurisdiction. And that's the Ontario Provincial Police, because Ottawa is located within Ontario.
Can Ottawa Police not do it as well?
I don't know. That I don't know.
Yeah, because they have a regional police service.
Yeah, I don't know what their mandate is in terms of the scope, but it's possible. It's possible Ottawa Police could do that as well, or maybe it would be a cooperation between multiple units. But to answer your question, that's the answer. And that's it?
That's it for now.
Okay.
Just going to read off the rest of the super chats and close out the evening. We have Myron Ends for $20 asking Mr. Bull-Oni, spelled B-U-L-L, Oni.
Mr. Baloney.
Love it. Thank you.
You know, Maloney must be like, every time he hears that, he's just thinking from his youth and just
emotional damage.
And we have Megaman Zero for $5. When the manager of the party of the managerial class has managerial problems and needs to talk to the manager, the era of useless HR may be over. There you go. And someone's worked in corporate. Marcelio for $7. Funny, because Guibo was just on a radio show saying Trump was doing better on the environment compared to Carney. You can't write this stuff, right? And Real Steven Jensen for $5. It is amusing that people think the way the government is functioning in Canada is normal. Canada is broken until we open constitutional change and change things.
Yeah, I definitely think we need recall legislation. I don't recall who we were speaking to recently that said, you know what, instead of making everybody go to a by-election if somebody wants to cross the floor, we should just have recall legislation, and that would solve the problem too.
Yep.
So, got something to think about.
Brian Campbell for $20. Hi, you two. Keep up the great work. But watching this, I have a quick question. Do you think that the Liberals will have a crying room like the CBC has? I'm sure it's in the budget.
I was going to say, it's probably Mark Carney's office.
No, it's Francois Philippe Champagne's office. I'm sure it's in the budget. And I'm sure it's budgeted for $4 billion, and then they'll end up spending $10 billion, but actually declare $20 billion down the road. So, Myron Ends for $10. Spend all your time drinking fancy wine and airplane food no other person has ever heard of. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, and this is the crazy thing. How do you spend $200,000 on food for 3 flights? Like, how many people is he feeding? What kind of food is it? Is it more expensive just because it has to be, I don't know, preserved or prepared in a certain way for the airplane? Like,
luxury butter.
No, but this is insane.
Yep. Sean for $7. Someone needs to highlight Carney's GFANS plan for Canada. Most don't even know what it means.
Desiree spoke about that, didn't she?
She did.
Yep.
And John Gotti for $7. I feel the USA will move to annual CUSMA reviews, which will put a lot of strain on Mexico. Canada's investment climate. USA wants max leverage. Yeah, they do. They definitely do. I think you're on there, and I think you're also right. If that is their plan, you can't have a trade relationship that you review yearly. It's too much uncertainty. It's actually going to hurt the North American economy if that's what they do that.
Well, and I mean, look at how long trade people on either side have been working on this, like, for, what was it, 4 years? I'm not even sure, however long it's been.
Yeah.
So can you imagine having people who have to essentially work on that around the clock, 365?
Yeah. Len 2 for $5. C9 has passed through the Senate. I knew it. Will it be challenged in court? Oh, probably.
Most likely, but it is like finished in the Senate for now. But based on what I've seen, it looks like they've made some recommendations for that to the House of Commons. They probably want to add or remove something.
I already said what it was.
Hmm?
Were you not listening? I already said what it was.
You had said about.
They wanted to add the symbol. That was the recommendation.
Oh, okay.
That was the statement they sent. They said that they passed it, and they're asking the House of Commons if they agree with that amendment.
Right. So, yeah. So they've sent it back to the House. This doesn't happen often in legislation,
Yeah.
but it's happening right now with this one, where the Senate changed something and they're sending it down to the House. The House has to agree.
Yep.
And then they send it back up, and then it goes for royal assent. Otherwise, they'll kind of like argue back and forth.
So we'll see what happens. Real Steven Jensen for $10. We used to have a Motorola chip design plant in the mid-'80s in Canada. I visited it while in the military. Wonder what happened to it. Oh, they had 40-inch flat screen monitors back then too.
Nice.
What a big monitors for back then. Mid-'80s. Really? Interesting.
Do you remember that TV that my parents had given us when we lived at the old house, and it was like big and heavy and flat? Maybe it was that.
Big and heavy and flat.
Do you remember?
Kind of sounds like Mr. Maloney. Myron ends for $2. Hit 3,000, and there will be some memberships. I think we're probably there.
Yep.
I'll get to it at some point.
Maybe.
Yep.
Did we hit it?
Yeah, we're at 33.
Nice.
So I'll get to it later. And Norm Kelly for $5. About the 88,000 jobs, how many went to foreign workers? That
I don't know if we know.
we won't be able to see.
Yeah.
On this report, we won't be able to see. Spark Spice for $5. I finished high school in 2009, and I couldn't find work for 6 years. I'm terrified of another recession, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Emily Croteau for $5. Thank you. The 1930s depression was denied by the government until the late 30s. They said everything was going great. That's what happens. Christina Abbott with a $7 super gamepad. Thank you very much for that. And Spark Spikes for $5. You know who else in the G-Tronny? Russia. Their economy has been practically destroyed because of the war, and Canada is the one in recession.
Excellent point. Thank you.
What is it that you do?
That's funny.
Freeland's toenail. So we have Freeland's feet, Freeland's shoes, Freeland's toenail.
Somebody's got something going on with feet.
Let's just be mindful of how far up Freeland's leg we get.
Stop.
For $5, I guess you could say she nailed it. Sorry, I had to continue the bit.
Oh my.
How dare you?
Troy Boyarsky, good to see you. About for 30 months. They started cooking the books when they rigged the unemployment numbers. I'm positive those numbers are way higher than they artificially deflated. Yeah, I guess we'll see. And Cam TJR for $5. What 3 things should the Conservatives run on to win the next election? Well, I think they should be consistent on affordability.
Crime?
Crime, again, I think they should have a plan, like a real detailed plan on how to open the Ring of Fire, which is the northern mineral cache in northern Ontario, on how to build a big east-west trans-Canada pipeline.
They need to get rid of the tanker ban. Like, I guess that would all go to development, right? Because nobody's going to come up here and build a pipeline if there's a tanker ban on the West Coast.
Yep, and repealing the anti-development legislation. And someone had suggested maybe they do a big gouge, tax cut, and they reveal that late in their campaign so the Liberals can't copy them. Maybe, but I think they need something big, big and bold, that they can slap down and say, this is why you should elect us. And Chris Wolf for $30. Thank you very much. Bill C9 passed. My heart is heavy. Christianity is under attack in this country. Well, the minute the first person is charged for that, there's going to be a flurry of court challenges on that, let me tell you.
But I don't think it's technically passed yet, just because it hasn't received royal assent.
Yeah, it hasn't fully completed passing yet. So,
but
it's it's probably going to happen soon.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Myron ends for $10. Carney would take credit for eating a burrito and having a good dump. Only if somebody else did it.
Gross.
So maybe he should talk to James Maloney.
Oh, come on.
Glenn Stewart for $10. My brother is of the opinion that all MPs are out of their pockets. Or out for their pockets, and it does not matter who you vote for. I know he is wrong. That Pierre and crew will do all they can for us and Canada's economy. Absolutely. And maybe you should tell them that the Conservatives actually put forth an anti-corruption bill in the last Parliament that would actually fine everyone, not just MPs, $50,000, and that there'd be jail time for people that lie in committees. So.
And I think, I'm kind of reaching this point with my sister where she's been a Liberal supporter for a while, and she's just fed up with it. Like, she sees how the money doesn't buy what it used to and all these things. And I said to her, listen, I know you're not huge into politics, but when they select the candidate, the Conservative candidate for your riding, because she's in a Liberal riding right now, but when they select the Conservative candidate, I'll keep my ear out. I'll see if they have like a Pints in Politics or some sort of event. And I will bring you to go meet the candidate, the person, because I think it's important. If you can get out and meet your candidate or meet your MP and, maybe have a very quick chat with them, ask them some questions, just get to see how they interact with people. I think that really does help.
Mm-hmm. Granite Man for $2. There is no damage control for Carney. He don't care. I don't disagree. It's just damage. It's just damage.
Yeah.
And Granite Man $2 for $2. Narcissists and sociopaths don't care. They dismiss. Absolutely. Ravis Hayes for $5. I'm honestly worried that the too late bit with all the censorship and media control laws we will keep moving toward until we are a full communist state. I don't think we're going to get there, especially with all the problems going on in Mr. Carney's government. So I think that's the good thing.
But that's not a reason to let down your guard. If there's something you are concerned about, absolutely reach out to your MP. It doesn't even matter what party they are. Just be like, hey, I'm concerned about X, Y, Z. I would like to speak with you about it. Or, that bill that you're putting forward, I don't appreciate it. Or will you sponsor this petition for me, et cetera, et cetera.
And as I've said, sustained, relentless pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Canadians cannot give up on pressuring this government. And Damien McNeil for $10. Wonder if Carney practiced his pancake flipping over the last year. My guess is probably not.
And thank you to Curdy with 10 gifted Northern Perspective memberships. Thank you so much.
Adam Canadian for $2. Thank you, Ryan and Tanya, for all your hard work. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your continuous support.
And also thank you to Das1013 for gifting another 10 memberships. Thank you so much.
And Control Lee for $7. What are your guys' take on anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism with regard to the rise of anti-Semitism in Canada? Honestly, I think it's just a talking point to try to divert away from the problem of anti-Semitism in Canada.
Yeah, because if you're burning down synagogues and families are just trying to go and worship, like, that's not okay. You can call it whatever you want, but it's not right.
If somebody comes out and says, I don't agree with the Jewish religion, I don't call that anti-Semitism. That's called an opinion. And that's called a healthy opinion in my opinion.
I think you can debate the differences between different religions and the history and how they're similar, how they're different, whatever. But that's completely different than what is currently happening in this country.
Right. When you have people chanting things out of the Hamas charter that literally deals with the destruction of the Jewish state, that is anti-Semitism.
Well,
especially when they're saying it in Canada.
When you're partnering essentially with a terrorist organization, that's not good, right?
Now, just as if there was people that are saying, all the Palestinians in Gaza, they should be wiped off the face of the earth. That's is equally reprehensible.
Yeah.
Equally reprehensible. And I think everybody can agree on that. So, we need to
Stop the divide.
And the people that are trying to say, well, semantically, is it technically a recession? That's the equivalence of it.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. Granite Man for $2 at G7. Carney will turtle around Trump. Can't wait. Yeah, right? That's going to be fun. I hope Carney puts out his hand and Trump just walks right by him. Real Steven Jensen or no, Trump will give him like a 51 pin. Can you imagine? Because he's just
The ultimate troll.
yeah. Real Steven Jensen for $2. People think the government respects them. LOL.
I think individuals. I mean, we've built some really good relationships.
Right, but we don't know anyone directly in the government right now. So.
Oh, that's true. We only know opposition folks.
Barb Rickman, welcome to NP Supporter. Thank you very, very much. And Real Steven Jensen for $5. Watch Glenn Beck's The Real Reason the Iran negotiations seem chaotic. The world is in real trouble, and Carney wants us part of Europe.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so he was in England or the UK when they voted for Brexit. So they left under him, I guess, or they agreed to leave under him. So why does he want us over there?
No, but he didn't want to leave.
Okay.
Peter Witten for $2 just had a great talk with Lena from The Pig. Cool. And Carol Riom, member for 25 months. I wouldn't trust the city of Ottawa to investigate anything. They can't even get our train to work. Thank you. Yeah, we had some chats with some people about that today. Built this big, huge LRT line with these big, massive stations, and it doesn't work.
What did she say? $2 billion in cost? Or
I thought it was
something?
8.
It was a lot of money, and it doesn't even work.
Jessica Van Luke for $7. I seen that Harper will go public on the referendum. Would you invite him to come on NP to make that statement in an interview with you guys? Mr. Harper is always welcome to come on Northern Perspective. And Jessica Van Luke for $7. Were you able to contact Michelle Cameron Coulter to arrange time for her stream? And is time being arranged? So, Jessica, we have a lot of things that are in the hopper. And we are considering this. There's a big lead time before we can get to that sort of stuff. I love Jessica's suggestions. She is passionate and she is always looking to make NP Nation and Northern Perspective an informative show. We only have one staff member. We need some time. I appreciate it. Myron Ends for $5. Champagne would have an office with an angry chihuahua. That's right. Well, Champagne's office is just a doghouse. So, yeah, they save money on the height of the door. Real Steven Jensen for $2. Even at $1,000 a plate, you can't spend $200,000. I agree. And Myron Ends dropping 10 memberships. Thank you very, very much for that. Real Steven Jensen for $2. I went in NORAD North Bay too. Cool stuff. Nice.
We called the NORAD Santa Tracker the one year. I think it was, Vincent must have been about 9 months old. He had no idea what was going on, but we thought it was cool. We actually got to speak to somebody.
Yeah. And Revis for $5. The Liberals have been positive on crime, on increasing it. Drugs, gotcha. Unaliving, check. Extortion, you betcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Glenn Stewart for $5. LOL, Ryan, thank you for giving me a chuckle. I needed it. Stay light and frosty.
We do it again.
And Myron Eds for $10. I'd be willing to bet Carney won't show up on your show. Well, we're going to be in Calgary the same time he is, so we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
We'll extend another invite. So.
Well, the thing is, like, we're not fans of gotcha questions or whatever. The questions might be not easy, but they're not going to be rude and they're not going to be gotchas because I don't believe in that kind of journalism.
I know. Maybe if we tell him there's a chance that his Brookfield stock options will mature a few points if he comes on Northern Perspective, that might be a way to get him to come on the show.
You can't make a promise like that.
That's why I said might. And Jessica Van Luke for $7. Are you going to try and get an interview with Ellen Harper during the Calgary Stampede? They were door knocking together in her riding yesterday. We're going to see if we can get Miss Harper on at some point. So.
Yeah, I would love to just sit down and speak to Lorraine Harper about the cats that they used to keep at 24 Sussex because I I think because our cats are domesticated now, we forget that they used to have jobs, right? Like our cats are just fat and lazy, but they used to have jobs, which was catching rodents. And that's kind of how they've domesticated themselves alongside humans for thousands of years. And 24 Sussex, as well as the Hermitage Museum in Russia, would employ cats to catch all the rodents and keep the facilities vermin free. And I don't know, I think it's kind of a neat concept. And I love cats, obviously.
So anyway, folks, glad the stream worked. And sorry the set isn't as good as the one that we interviewed the ambassador of Israel. But
we would have had to drive 4 or 5 hours to get back to that one.
Yeah, that's not happening. So anyway, Rustam Jensen for $5. Are you going to do with any of the independence leaders in Calgary when we're there? I don't know. I don't know if there's any on the docket yet. We'll see what happens. And Sean Rossi for $2. Thank you very, very much for that. So as we wrap up, it's going to be probably an interesting week of content. Could be pretty busy, and you may see us on the Hill if you're in the Ottawa area. If you choose to come to the Altar protest, we are planning going to that. Just a note, not that anyone is going to care, but the Governor Generals are going to be officially sworn in tomorrow in the Canadian Senate, so that is going to be happening.
Just one thing before I forget, because I should have announced this at the beginning and I totally forgot. If you follow us on Facebook, there is someone or multiple someones creating fake Northern Perspective profiles, trying to add everybody on who follows our page, like as a friend. And then I think they're trying to get them to buy Bitcoin. That's absolutely not us. We will never message you through like Facebook or Instagram or anything like that. We are working with Meta to try to get verified so that we get that blue check mark, but it's a very slow process, unfortunately. So if you are contacted by another Northern Perspective trying to add you as a friend, that's not us. Our page does not have the capability to add people as friends. So please report them to Facebook. And if you're ever not sure, just flip us an email.
And if you have Northern Perspective as a friend, that is not us. Delete them, block them,
report them,
say whatever you want to them, parliamentary or not. Anyway, folks, that is all for us. And we hope you have a wonderful night. And we will see you in the comments.
Take care.
Our fathers fought so our voices could be free, that thought and conscience would not bow to decree those rights and only if we choose to take a stand without compromising truth. This land is more than headlines, more than noise and rage. We cut through all the chaos line by line, page by page. MP Nation, raise your voice tonight. Every province, every distant sky, we stand for something. We don't step aside. Truth in our hands, hope in our eyes. MP Nation, this is where we rise. No corner of this country stands alone. What we ignore still shapes the road back home. Power grows when people step aside. We move forward, NP nationwide. From the coastline to the prairies and mountain shadow, harbor rain, we carry all these stories, turn the fear into a flame. NP Nation, raise your voice tonight. Every province, truth is on our side when we resist despair and the power that divides. So we step forward.